Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 47 of Franklin and Douglas, where we talk about current events and give you bad advice. I'm Franklin, and with me, as always, is my buddy Douglas. Double D, how's it going?
Buddy, it's going great. It's so hot. It's
you, you
great.
sound you sound miserable.
Oh my god, it is humid. It is humid out here in the Midwest right now. And
mm,
the AC just ain't kicking it.
ACing.
Right. uh but yeah, so how's your week been?
My week was good. I am still on my kick of listening to books and everything, and
Oh.
now, yes, well, now I'm on the Spotify, and I am listening to "The Search for the Green River Killer," and you know, yeah. Now everyone knows the story of Gary Ridgway, and I love it, of course. But it's a different take on the story, learning how the police were in a different direction before finding Gary. So, if anyone out there has a chance to listen to this, it is a good listen. It is called "The Search for the Green River Killer" on Spotify.
Hmm.
So, go out there and listen to that. And I also just finished watching on HBO Max The Mortician.
Oh.
You need to, yeah, it's crazy. So we might do an episode on that because it's really crazy. So yeah, that's all that's been going on, and just getting ready for the weekend of 4th of July. I'm thankfully going on vacation. Still debating if I'm going to fly out.
Uh
If I'm going to go out. I haven't seen anything crazy. Iran hasn't got to us just yet, so we'll see what's going to happen. But yeah,
you
still
got
debating
those
on.
sleeper cells, girl.
I don't know. Yeah. So at any rate, yeah, that's that's what I've been up to. How was your week?
Well, yeah, besides it just being really hot out here. Um
And you
yeah,
hate the heat.
Yeah, I am allergic to the heat. Uh, I am, like, melting right now. But I wanted to my week was pretty boring, but I wanted to bring up again the last episode we talked about straight pride that was happening out in, like, whatever it was, Idaho or whatever, or the
Hmm.
Hetero Awesome Fest is what it was. So, the great thing about it was super low turnout. They the person that ran it has spent like $85,000 to run it and only cooped like $30,000. So I think he has like
Oh,
a GoFundMe now or something to help make up for the rest of the costs.
so the straighties are gonna go out there and pay for it. You know what happened?
And then the best thing about the whole thing is the guy who put it on and was running it got punched in the face at his own festival. So
By a straight person or a gay
a
person?
straight person. So the story is that the band that they booked, they were like, "Oh yeah, no, straight pride, great, cool, cool." Well, the band that they booked started to play a pro LGBTQ song, kind of like to troll the crowd. So the
Right, right,
guy
right.
who put on the festival like, realized what was going on, and he's like, "Oh shit!" and like went up and was like trying to pull the mic away and like starting to argue with the band. And someone in the crowd was like, "Hey, what is this dude doing?" Like they didn't know who he was. So they got
Right,
up on
right.
stage, started fighting with him, not realizing that he was trying to stop the pro LGBTQ song. So the guy that from the crowd came up and punched him in the face. Uh,
Oh, that's so sad. It just turned bad.
it was bad to begin with.
Oh, oh, poor straighties.
But so yeah. So with that said, what do you have for us this week?
Well, I thought we would touch on something that you love, space.
My head's always in
But
the
actually,
clouds.
yes, it is. But actually, I want to talk about Sally Ride. You remember who
Ooh,
Sally Ride was?
ride, Sally, ride.
I
That's Sally Ride.
don't think, yeah, I
Oh,
don't recall that, but okay. So today we're going to spotlight the trailblazer Sally Ride,
oh
Dr.
yeah,
Sally Ride.
nice.
Okay. Best known as the first American woman in space.
Hmm.
And her legacy stretches far beyond the historic 1983 launch. Do you remember what you were doing back in 1983? Were you alive?
I barely remember last week, let alone 80s.
Mm. late 80s were the best. So, so Sally was born on May 26, 1951, in Los Angeles. Now that I didn't know. A
Oh,
standout student and competitive tennis player. Did you know that?
no.
Yeah, she was a huge athlete and everything. So she earned a degree in physics and English at Stanford University. You know where
Of
Stanford is?
course. Yes. I know where Stanford
California.
is.
She eventually completed her PhD in physics in 1978. Now, same year, she joined NASA as a part of their first class of astronauts to include women.
Wow.
So, yeah, she, what do you call it? An entrepreneur,
Yeah,
a
a trailblazer.
trailblazer, blazing the trails.
Yes, she was.
And in 5 years later, just 5 years later, June 18th, 1983, Sally rocketed to history in the Space Shuttle Challenger. Okay.
Nice.
You remember the Space Shuttle Challenger?
Yes, that I do remember.
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't alive back then, but I remember.
You were alive. She was the first woman in space, the youngest astronaut at the time, and a symbol of what possible barriers women were, broke
Right.
back then. She, flew a second mission in 1984 and was training for a third when the Challenger disaster grounded all flights. Now that I do remember the Challenger
Oh,
disaster.
yeah.
You remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
remember
that's what
we
I was like.
watched it at school, like on TV a lot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Same here. Yeah. So after NASA, Sally focused on her energy on education and advocacy. Advocacy. Baltimore, Maryland.
Advocacy?
Baltimore, Maryland. She became a professor. Sally Ride Science. She founded Sally Ride Science and a company that championed the STEM education. STEM, STEM, especially for young girls. All right.
Oh, I did not know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's, I mean, Sally was amazing, right?
Right.
She passed away in 2012 of pancreatic cancer
Mm.
at 61. And she was awarded in 2013, post, I'm not going to be able to say that,
Pro
posthumously,
oh,
posthumously,
right.
Baltimore, Maryland, awarded for, from Barack Obama for her Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Wow.
And her girlfriend, now this is where the
What?
kicker is. Yes, her girlfriend of 27 years.
Oh,
Right. She was the one who accepted the award for her and everything. So now the big thing was like, we didn't know that she had was in this beautiful relationship for over 27 years.
yeah.
They hid this relationship. Well, she hid the relationship for over 27 years. And, I can understand that as, you've hid our relationship for probably even longer. So it is something that, we both share.
The
But
world
yeah.
was not ready for it. That's why.
But for 27 years, they were in this beautiful relationship. She only let her then partner, I'm not going to be able to say, her name is Tam O'Shaughnessy. I butchered that, I
O'Shaughnessy?
know. Yeah, something like that. But she, on her deathbed, told her that she could tell everybody
Aw.
about their relationship, which was, great. But you know, Sally, we would have accepted you. You didn't have to hide in the closet behind the Wizard of Oz curtain
What
to
would we have accepted her though as a nation?
um during that time, probably not,
Right.
huh?
Right.
I mean, right? I mean, now, of course, but it's too late.
Yeah.
But it's it's bad. It's sad that she did have to hide her relationship with this person.
Right.
I mean, she was you know, I guess, I mean, I'm pretty sure her inner circle knew.
Right.
They were the best friends that lived in a one bedroom. you know,
Just my
oh, that's just
roommate.
my aunt's friend, just my roommate.
Right.
Exactly. So I'm pretty sure people did know, but of course they were, kept to secrecy. about the whole relationship, but
Mhm.
everything that she did and created and her legacy is going to live on regardless of her, sexual orientation. And, it doesn't matter. I don't know why people need to figure out what folks are doing in their bedroom. You know, it's like it's none of your business. Just,
Right.
focus on what the good that they're doing. Not that, sex with another person is bad.
Depends.
Sex. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, when you look back at people who you think may be hiding something, and then you come out and it's like, oh, it was just that. Okay, well, I mean,
Yeah,
sad, but that was the '80s, and obviously at that time, it was you call it taboo, and
right.
people didn't really want to, talk about it as much. But if she were around today, how do you think, people would react, or, what you think the vibe would be for her?
Yeah, I mean, I think she would like, you mean if she just came out, like, if she was still,
Acknowledge the relationship
emerging.
and everything.
Yeah, yeah. I think now should have been accepted totally differently from back then, because you gotta remember too, in the '80s, we were still going through, like, the whole AIDS scare crisis, and even though that was more pointed, from what I remember, at gay men, it's still, a a gay relationship, so you had people that were already freaking out about that back then, and it's sad to say, but back then, it may have overshadowed all of her accomplishments, whereas today, it probably would have been just kinda like a footnote, like, "Oh, yeah, she's doing all this, she's going to space. By the way, she likes the females," but
Right. I
but
mean, yeah, that's
yeah.
it is interesting, and like I say, her girlfriend has carried on her legacy, since then. And but yeah, it's a trip that, for how do you hide that, and then
Mhm.
for someone that had to be very hard for her girlfriend, her partner, to, you know just sit back in the shadows,
Yeah.
and you're in love with this person, but you can't show it. That's I Yeah, it's sad, and I hope that, people aren't continuing to do that. You know,
Mm, I don't know. And
you think?
where we're going, well, okay, so, for me personally, as a gay man, I still like
Really?
shut up.
Oh my god.
Like, I grew up in the '90s, and even though, like, I think the tide was kinda turning in the '90s for LGBTQ, like, acceptance, it still wasn't really that accepted. So, I still, even to this day, like, you can't act a certain way in public, you can't talk a certain way in public, like, people may think something, you may get attacked, that kinda thing. So, it's still out there, like, the fear is still out there, like, I think the younger generations probably did not have to grow up with that, so maybe they feel a little bit more, emboldened or comfortable. I think for those of us that have been around for a while, like, we know that the dangers are still there, lived through those
Hmm.
dangers, and, that's kinda in the back of our heads, so
Yeah, and I guess it also depends on, the area you live in,
yes, yep,
and your honestly, your family, and how, you're brought up. Because even though we live in California, out here, you still have pocketed areas that aren't as accepting,
yep.
of it. And I know definitely out there in Ohio, even though you are running around with that hair, you get the side glances.
Already just put a little rainbow color in your hair, and you already start getting the evil looks, it's like
The evil eye, exactly, yeah. So, I think that, again, whoever you love and whoever you choose to love, it is no one else's business,
mm.
and you shouldn't hide it. If people find out, they find out. Keep it pushing, but it is what it is.
Well, and you think too, like, when I was kinda just looking up on, their Sally's history, I didn't realize that this she was the astronaut where you hear that story where the other astronauts, or the scientists behind that trip, gave her, like, 100 tampons or something to take up into space. So they're asking her, like, "How many tampons are you gonna need up there for a week? 100?" And it's like, so
And did
you
she go up there during that time? I mean, that's disgusting.
But, I mean, that's the whole thing, like, they already are not able to understand or handle women as it is. Like, can you
Right.
imagine also her, like, being an out lesbian woman? Like, those scientists' heads would have exploded back then at that
Right.
point. Like, "Do we need to
They
put a
would.
leather harness in there too while you're up there?"
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
"Do
Gross.
we need to put a U-Haul sticker on the side of the ship? Like,
On
help
the
us out
side of
here."
the Challenger, huh? I'm going to space to see my girl. Oh,
We're
man,
gonna run
that's
out the
crazy.
moon and fill it with roses.
Ah, exactly. Oh, man. Well, that's my take on Sally, and again, it doesn't matter who you love, and what you do behind closed doors, but I hope that she, uh, at least, you know, had their relationship and made her partner feel special while they
Yeah.
were together.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters at that time. So
Yeah.
with that, what advice would you have for our listeners?
I don't know if I can go on. That last speech you just gave there, I'm touched. Like, I'm getting a little teary-eyed. Ugh,
Get it together, girl.
but
Get it together.
I gotta move on. So, as always, we wanna remind our audience that we are not trained professionals, and our advice
Nope.
should not be taken seriously. But what
No.
qualifications do we have, Franklin?
Well, if we survive the Castros 2 for one night without getting taken to outer space by Sally in her
Yes.
Challenger, then we are qualified to lead you through life's challenges. Hit me with it.
So today we're gonna be pulling our questions from Reddit's "Am I the Asshole" category.
You are.
Thanks. If you'd like us to answer your request for advice, please DM us in our socials or comment. Maybe your question will appear in our next episode. Okay, so let's move on to, am I the asshole for leaving a wedding to go to a bar? I mean,
No. Next question.
I mean, we've all been to those weddings. Was like, is it over yet? Like,
Or remember the pregame wedding before because
oh
they weren't
yeah,
going to have any alcohol.
meet me in the parking lot. So, but with this person here, they're saying my wife was the maid of honor at a wedding for her side of the family. I was in charge of the kids, and by the time the babysitter came to the wedding venue to pick the children up, the reception hall had already filled up. It was a situation where more people showed up than who actually RSVP'd. I wandered
Ooh.
around for 30 minutes asking random tables if a spot was open, and none were. Feeling very
First of
strange.
all, aren't you supposed to be assigned to a seat at the
R-
reception?
I-
Remember the little name tags?
That's what I'm used
Jerk
to.
face, sit here. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Asshole and your wife. So they go on to say that they wandered around for 30 minutes, asking random tables if a spot was open, and none were. Feeling very strange and like I was hovering, I left the wedding to go to the bar attached to the hotel.
Hmm.
Now my wife is upset with me and called me an asshole. Am I an asshole? So just to add on some context to that, also, he wasn't served any food because he didn't have a seat. And he also left before the maid of honor speech, which was his wife's speech.
Well, okay. So, first of all, the wedding planner is the asshole
Right.
because you didn't get him an assigned seat and he's the husband of the maid of honor?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So, okay, how in the world does that happen that he doesn't even have a seat and he didn't get to eat? And then, secondly, his wife, why didn't you plan on a babysitter? You knew that where you guys were going to be.
Well, the babysitter, I guess, showed up is what they said. The babysitter came to the
No,
venue.
that
Oh,
yeah,
before?
we don't need the people to be coming to the venue.
Yeah, yeah.
You needed to have drop them off the night before, and you so that you can get yourself together, and your husband is there supporting you. So no, he's not the asshole. I would have walked out as well and grabbed you and be like, "Let's hit the bar. Come on."
Yeah. Been there, done
That's
that.
crazy. Yeah, it's like that's crazy. Poor thing. No, he's not the asshole. The wedding planner, his wife, the whole entire wedding party is.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, no, and it just sounds like he was kinda just used, as as someone to babysit kids and that kinda thing,
Mhm.
like you said, like,
Yep.
he did all that work for, you know, the wife and the bridal party, like, at least, like, kinda show some, not respect, but, to get him a
Throw him a
seat and make
plate to
sure
the
he could eat.
side.
Right, right. Even, like, send him something to the bar.
Right. Poor
But
thing.
I can understand his wife being mad if he wasn't there for her speech. At least kinda, like, stand there, let her talk, and then
Mm-mm.
leave.
With his drink.
Right.
You
Mhm.
go, honey.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, 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 ding.
Uh,
Oh my god.
alright. So, on to the next one. So, this one says, "Am I the asshole because I ate more than my share of a 6-foot party sub last night?" So they go on to say, "What I thought would be a total non-issue has ballooned into a huge problem, and I'm up at 7:05 a.m. dealing with it. I figured while I wait for text, I could post here to see if what I did was really that bad." They go on to say, "I'm a big fat ass. There's no way around it."
Ooh, big back, big back.
Right? "I love to eat, which probably borders on addiction, but I figure since I'm only hurting myself, it's probably better to just live my life."
Live your life. Oh.
Right? "I have some great friends, although there is no doubt I'm the harmless, funny token fat guy, if the otherwise pretty good looking group." Guess that sets the stage enough.
Here we go.
So last night, my friend hosted a UFC watch party and I was invited. He got a 6-foot party sub. I also brought homemade wings that are sort of my specialty. Well, of
Nice.
course,
Sounds
people,
good.
right? Well, I mean, I don't eat them. Maybe they were
Oh,
vegan.
yeah, that's right
Well,
then.
of course, people flocked to the food, and I had basically one serving of the sandwich, but people devoured my wings, and I didn't get to have a single one, which is totally
Mm.
fine. That's why I brought them. But maybe an hour later, I was starving. I kept eyeing the sandwich, and I'd say there was about 3 feet of it left. I waited an
Ooh.
hour, then another half hour, and no one had touched it. But they were still munching on chips, pretzels, and whatnot. So I was like, screw it. I took about half of what was left and ate it. Then the last half sat for another 10 to 15 minutes and no one said anything. So I ate the rest.
Good. Nom, 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 nom.
Right. Well, to be sure, as I was swallowing the last bite, the host's girlfriend asked where the sandwich was. Like I was the guilty party, pretty much. Everyone pointed at me. I guess they noticed me eating the sandwich. She was furious and said that I was an incredible pig and that I had been super selfish to eat 3 feet of a sandwich. I felt so bad. I tried to explain to
Wow.
her that I really did wait over an hour and thought people had lost interest. I also tried to explain how everyone had ate my wings, and she said something along the lines of, "You brought them to share, Alan. If someone had eaten over half by themselves, that's not fucking sharing, is it?" Yes.
Oh my god.
I offered to order
Wow.
pizza or even got go get Subways, and she said that it was a pathetic offer because the party sub had been from a local shop owned by her friends. I said I was
Mm.
sorry, but the night was so tense from then on out. I woke up this morning to several texts from my twin sisters, the host's girlfriend's best friends, saying that I had to get my shit under control and that everyone is really mad at me and that I embarrassed myself last night. I tried to explain to them what my mindset had been and they haven't responded. Was I the asshole for eating that much of the sandwich last night?
First of all, they're not your friends
Right,
if that's what it's going to take
right,
because you ate food. And
right,
secondly, fuck them twins. You know? Seriously? You're going in on him for eating a sandwich?
right,
Okay, I mean, I could see if, like, we just started out and he pulled all of them, you
right.
know, and just sat there and devoured, like, half the sandwich while everybody was sitting there eating his wings, by the way, that he didn't get because they are a specialty. It's his signature dish.
Yeah.
Everybody's souped up them wings. Hopefully they got all the carcass and nice little gristle off of it. But no, and so yeah, I think he waited a respectable amount of time.
Right.
And as it was sitting there marinating in the sun,
Ugh.
you know, yeah. So what? I sure did eat it. And I'll eat it again.
Bring out some more. I'm still hungry.
Exactly. He was hungry. He was a big boy, you know? And for them to chastise him and ridicule, that's not your friends. And whatever, dude.
I
No, that's not your friends, and your sisters can go suck it. If you've got If it's that big of an issue, let me go back to your little man's friend's deli and get you another sandwich. Is that okay? Is that what you want?
It sounds like this friends group really sucks, is what it
They
sounds
do.
like. I mean, sure, should he just wolf down half a sub? Probably not, like,
But
maybe eat
again,
something before you show up or be like, "All right, on my
well,
way
yeah, he could
home."
have. Yeah,
I
I could
mean,
have got a burger. Could have got a
right.
burger before. But
Stop.
no, that's the whole point. You go to the party and you're eating. And like I said, it's not like he filled his plate up right then and
Right,
there and it
right.
was all gone. It sat there and everybody was eating their chips and pretzels and nobody was tripping. I mean, yes, he could have probably said, "Hey guys, anybody else want part of the sandwich? Because I'm gonna get some more.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Can I bring somebody some more?" He probably could have did that, but you know what? Psh, no, I'm going to eat the last piece of cake and I'm going to take the sandwich with me too.
Right,
And if you have some Tupperware, I'll take the leftovers.
right. He's there
Big
with
bag, big bag.
a plate and Saran wrap just loading stuff up.
Exactly. You didn't want this, did you?
Hey, I mean, I feel bad for him, like, listening to the way he talks about himself too, because he's just
Right.
like, "I'm a fat ass. I'm the token fat guy. My friend group is
Oh,
good looking." Like, I
yeah, he doesn't need to be around them.
yeah, like, I feel bad, but
Yeah, that's not a good friend group to be around. Be around somebody who's going to love and respect you regardless if you're a big back or not.
find yourself a big back group,
And right, who can eat all the sandwiches.
and y'all can get your own 6-foot subs.
Mhm.
Ah, well, I'm stuffed, so that's all that I have for today.
But you're going back for thirds, I see.
I see you haven't touched that sandwich.
Man, mhm, that's crazy.
But yeah, thank you everyone again for all the likes, shares. The comments have been great. Thank you so much. Keep it up. We have gained more subscribers on YouTube, so thank you for that. If you happen to be listening on other
Hey,
platforms, please come on over to YouTube. It doesn't cost anything just to give us a like and subscribe. We're trying to build our community over there as well. And yeah, anything else for us today, Franklin?
just love who you love.
Oh, and try to make it through this heat wave.
You're so ridiculous.
And on that
All right,
note, bye.
bye.